Just fucking do it. Subscribe now.
Dan, will you tell us about this room?
Oh, yes, sir. This room was not part of the tower. From that door, that way, straight up, 4 stories was the tower, which was the original tower, the keep, as it was called, when James III of Scotland gave the 150, well, actually he gave 2,000 hectares to Sir David Guthrie back in the day. This was the first extension. That's a Napoleonic chandelier, crystal. I don't know how much it's worth. Doesn't matter what it's worth. And this building going up 1 story, and my master bedroom's above us, and the Guthrie suite bedroom above this part of it, was added on about 1750. When we bought the castle, it was a tip, meaning it was a dump. All the artwork up here was broken, no chandelier. We roofed it, we plumbed it, we wired it, we floored it. Most of the estate was in 4 or 5 feet of weeds you walk through. The walled garden from 1628 that was built by the Benedictine monks was 4 or 5 feet of weeds. The tarmac roads that you see and you drive and walk up and down were dirt. And this room was one of the nicest rooms, and it's difficult to heat. But when you have 25 people in the room, it's not difficult to heat. That painting of myself that won the 1987 National Bullshit Award, and it toured 18 months all around the world. My first wife won the award the next year. So we used to run what?
Same artist?
Yeah, same artist. Jim Morgan, who's dead now. So we have not been invited to a royal event, Sal and I, in 30 years. And it's not likely we'll ever be invited to a royal event.
Well, it's your prime minister.
Absolutely. Thank you. You took the fucking words right out. But I'm not running for office just to get back on the royal list. I've met the Queen twice. Nice, just like a grandmother, a great-grandmother, super lady. Pardon? No, she doesn't. She doesn't get involved in the list.
No, the influencers, there's the Queen of England.
Correct, but she doesn't tell the politicians who to invite to the deals, and she hasn't been involved. Who is invited to Windsor or whatever for 25 years? She doesn't get involved in that. And no. These were these 2 paintings we paid for, but all the rest, almost every picture painting in the castle, was bought at auction in over 20, 25 years. The stuff in this room, as opposed to the dining room we just left, was bought in auction in the 80s. Every once in a while, some distant relative of the Guthries sends us some shit. No, I don't mean shit. I mean something. And some of the stuff is really neat. And half the time, they don't ask for any money. They just want their heritage to be here at the castle.
Was Sally okay with the painting?
Yeah, she doesn't give a shit. Sally has self-esteem. Most women couldn't stand to have the first wife's picture there. She has no problem with it. And as I tease her, I'm sure my third wife won't have any problem with it as well. But I've been married to my first wife 3 times.
You married your first wife
3 times. And I've married Sally 7 times.
7 times. Wait,
so
Since 3 didn't work for me the first time, so I doubled the +1.
The magical number.
Yeah. And we renewed our vows in the North Pole, the South Pole. What? Well, I'm almost 30. But I mean, we renewed our vows in Vegas, in the South Pole, in the North Pole, a bunch of other places. And so it's just, I thought being married 3 times was enough. But for whatever reason, my first wife got tired of her. I loved her dearly till the day she told me she was leaving, and I loved her after that. She just couldn't put up with the shit anymore. The shit meaning I'm always gone. They tell you they support you. You make yourself and her rich beyond their wildest expectation. You make them queen of their own castle, but they still want you home. Any of you that are delusional enough to think any different, give me some of that shit so I can smoke it. My first wife, God love her. I still love her, not like Sally, but I still love her. I've had enough. No mas. And so we got a divorce. And even the best divorce is ugly. Even if you have a lot of fucking money to divide, it's ugly. So I wouldn't wish, until I had a divorce, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Because it's just the shits. It's the shits on steroids. But Sally and Linda have a good relationship. Sally has a better one than I do. And then the kids, God bless us, love Sally. Sally's a better parent than I am. But I'm not good at many things. Parenthood is one, for sure. I'm only good at creating wealth. And more recently, the last couple of decades, creating wealth with you guys. And even though a couple of you think it's harder than it is, it's not that hard. It just isn't. So, yes, sir.
You talk about the wrong reasons that we get married. What's the right reason to get married?
Well, I only know one. And it's not the lust. Okay, because guys, and I'm not talking about the girls. Guys, I mean, we know that lust rules our life. We think with the wrong head. And if you think any different, you're delusional. But lust gets old. I know you mean I think it gets old. Fucking in the car, fucking on the floor, fucking that gets old. Yeah, and I'm just telling you, you want somebody that is intellectually your equal. In this group, that won't be a problem. You want somebody that's emotionally your equal. And you're pointing generically down the same goals. Not specifically, but generically. And either you want to have kids or not. Kids is no magic thing. But either they want to have kids, do they want a lot of kids? Do you want a lot of kids, Thomas, who's got his 6th kid coming up. I've never met his wife, but she's an angel as far as I'm concerned. 6 kids in 14 years is a lot. But most guys, and it's a sad commentary, and I said it before, get married just to get their willy wet. I mean, fuck. I didn't put up a chart, but from 2019 to mid-2021, 30%, 29.6% men under 30 had no sex. Now, Jesus fucking Christ. If that's not a sad commentary, I don't know what is.
I set my goal. I set the goal to need to why no. That wasn't a problem. That was the least of my problems. But the opposite was true. To find a wife that I wanted, and it was more on the intellectual basis than on the physical basis.
Well, I mean, that sounds good in practice, but if there's not a good mix between physicality and the mental shit, I mean, they die. And over the years, and I'm 76, sex is important to me, but not as important as when I was 30, 40, 50, 60. It just wasn't. And, but guys that talk, or gals that talk about the sexual part of their life's not important is bullshit. That's horseshit. That's because they're not getting laid. And and I've seen a lot of guys that marry young girls and their parents at 65. And although that sounds intellectually challenging, it's physically draining. When you see the father-daughter night, a 70-year-old guy shows up. What the fuck? That's bullshit. It's not right, in my opinion. Uh-oh, the Bulldogs are coming. Now,
I saw the little one.
the little one. He's that big. But he's really aggressive. Anyway, we'll see. Yeah, but, and Sally got the new Bulldog because she felt sorry for the other Bulldog who was a year old. He had nobody to play with because the Great Danes are big. And the Great Danes have kind of, when they run around the estate and he's trying to keep up, he can't keep up. But now he's got a little shit to play with. So they're coming in a few minutes. What else, kids? What's the question? Yes, sir.
That you can legally share with us in recording what's the most batshit crazy thing that's happened either during QLA or
Murder.
During QLA.
Yeah. Murder.
Did they get mad? Did they get mad at the other individual?
No. Everybody's got a story why it happened. All I know is somebody wound up dead.
It's like one of those murder mysteries at the castle.
Correct. And we've had murderers come through the program, and they seem pretty sane. But I mean, they just. And for those of you that have short tempers, whatever triggers you, you're not exactly sure. But we've had one of those, and we've had a couple of disappearances, which I assume they wound up in the river or the ocean someplace. But the kids that really get focused, obviously, it doesn't mean that they're going to kill somebody. But a lot of kids take this shit serious. I mean, much more serious than perhaps all of you. The double murderer from Cuba guy, I mean, he took this shit serious. He thought, rightly or wrongly, I was giving him a new life. And I did. And, but the guys that really take it serious, the gals that really take it serious, succeed. Because it's not anything's possible, but almost anything's possible. And, we shared this week, 15 or 20 of the webinars of the people that will talk. We have infinitely more successful people. I mean, by magnitudes of 10 or 20 or 100. But they wouldn't piss on your face if it was on fire. Like at the beginning of the seminar back in the 90s, you told us, I'm on board, Mr. Peña, pull up the fucking gangplank. Which is what I say. So they have no intention of helping anybody. The people that most of the people that are doing the webinars, they want to help me, they want to give back. And I appreciate that. God love them. But there's no shortage of success stories. There isn't. It's just if you decide to pull the trigger, take action, and I would rather you pull the trigger tomorrow and fall on your face than wait a month to decide to pull the trigger. The longer you wait to pull the trigger, the harder it is. Because all kinds of things, step forward in your subconscious, most of which aren't true. We're convicted felons. I mean, we'd have some really shit examples of humanity, but that's not what I'm interested in. I don't want them to be terrible human beings, but really, I don't care if they're terrible human beings as long as they perform. Because for every person in this room that starts a business, you're going to add, and only do one deal, you're going to add 5 to 10 jobs. The guys that do 20 deals 500 or 600 jobs. The guys that do 100 deal 3,000 or 4,000 jobs. So when I say in my political manifesto, I've created more jobs on the planet, and the reason why they don't talk about job creation is because nobody's created jobs, just like my competition, if you want to call them that, the gurus, haven't created any jobs. I mean, let alone money. I mean, so you have such an advantage. And once you believe, like the guys, you don't believe in me like God. I don't like that part. But once you believe in the system, once you believe in the fucking system, you're interrupting me, Sally. Churchill, don't get in trouble. Churchill. Okay, where's Winston?
Winston's a bit frantic on Catholic.
Oh, he wasn't going to want to come. He's, I think, 9 weeks old.
English bulldog.
Yeah. So our older puppy is Winston. He's Churchill.
So I'm walking in the grass like you.
I saw him one morning when I
Okay.
was walking.
Is Winston here?
What's that one's name?
Winston.
Winston. Come here, Winston.
Did he pee?
Yeah.
Hey, Sally, he peed.
No, he didn't.
Sally, Winston peed over there.
You got a cradle right there. You got a cradle.
Oh, you did not, did they?
Winston, are you nervous, boy? Now, if we let the Great Danes in, you'll all be running for the.
Oh, yeah. When I came, he was like coming. He didn't jump on me. The big one. I was scared. Like even standing is like punching at you.
How old is
He's 11 months old.
11.
Yeah, months old. And he's like 2 months, 2 months old. And he is, I mean, he chews the shit out of his big brother. I mean, and the Great Danes run from the little puppy. He got nervous, Sally.
I was going to say, whatever you say.
I couldn't be too greedy. Share the happy.
Oh.
Mr. Peña, do you have any tennis stories?
Yeah, back when I wasn't an A player, but I was, and they don't have A minus players, so I was a B player, but I was a strong B player. And in Houston, I had my own clay court, which is fun. And I used to play, and I used to hire pros to play with me from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 5 when it was the hottest, so the best condition. And I couldn't get a lot of guys that would play with me. But one of the guys who was the state champ or some, I took him to 5 sets, which is my highlight. And he was embarrassed. And he said afterwards, we're drinking iced tea or whatever. I know you don't want to hear this, Mr. Peña. It wasn't my best day. And I know you're going to brag about it. You fucking ain't right, I am. and I said that, but you played out of your zone today. And I did.
Were you like an aggressive bass?
Oh, fuck yes.
Coming to the
Oh, every time. Every time.
Okay, sure.
Every time. And I got hit a few times, seriously. And, but, yeah, I mean, and I was, when I made an error, it was because I was long, because I always hit too hard. And I didn't have the top spin like I should have.
Flat hitter.
Yeah, but I've hit 140 miles an hour a drive. I mean, I could fucking pound it, but nowhere near that speed could I keep it in. I mean, okay, no, not quite that, but they used to run up and just, Oh yeah. But my ideal serve was maybe 110, 115 miles an hour. I could pretty much place that.
Did you use a continental grip or use a forehand grip?
Forehand.
Oh, on the serve.
Yeah.
That's why you probably had a shitty serve in the second serve.
Yeah. And I had a one-handed backhand, not two-handed, and but I could rally a 40, 50 point rally. I mean, I was quick as shit, and but I used to have 2 pros an afternoon to wear me down.
Have you ever met the coach that you were?
Yeah, no, I talked to him on the phone. I never met him. I tried to get him here. Yeah, Nick. Nick thought, and he checked me out before he called to me. He talked to 4 or 5 of the pros, or his assistant talked to 4 or 5 of the pros that I used to hit with, and they used to say, "Old man's a psycho. He'll go till he robs." And
You don't play now because of the
but I can't move laterally. But I could hit the shit. I mean, I could tear the fucking cover off the ball. I mean, and the guys, they used to say, "Why don't you want to have a friendly game? Why do you hit the ball so goddamn hard?" I'm not here, fuck asshole. I'm paying you $40 an hour at that time. I'm not here. I don't want you to love me. Come to the net and I'll knock your teeth out.
playing grass at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Grass, clay. Yes, sir.
What was it like the very first time you had to go to ballroom dance?
Well, no, I was 10, 12 years old. So, I mean, I'm still a great ballroom dancer. And I attribute it to Arthur Murray, $10 a month for poor people. Now, see, you would tell people that only reason you could get Arthur Murray lessons is because you were fucking poverty stricken. Nobody says that. No. And, but my mother and I were national champs. Ballroom. We came in, Jitterbug, we came in second. I used to be able to throw my mom up in the air, catch her on my back, and throw her between my legs and catch her again. Jitterbug.
See, now in order to do stuff like that, you have to pay private instructors.
Yeah, well,
$50 an hour.
yeah, well, we got poor rates.
I'm envious. That's all I wish they did. Still have that.
And our kids don't like us telling people that we were so poor we got for free lessons, for free this. Well, our kids went to school. That's not a popular story. They don't want to hear that shit. Although the schools our kids went to, Rockefellers and all that kind of shit they went to, and the prep schools they went to were just, Yes, sir.
You say to learn to play bad golf well.
Pardon?
You say learn.
Play bad golf well. That means that rarely do you find anybody that starts golf that can break 100 to begin with. And golf is a social business sport. So you have to learn to play bad golf well. And if you're really, really competitive, you don't want to, suck up and lose. But you're going to have to play bad golf well. And golf is still a big deal in corporate America, corporate Europe. Not as big as it was 20 years ago. But Walter Wriston, although I never played golf with the CEO of Citibank, who was one of our main squeezes because one of our board of directors, Hugh Carey, was his asshole buddy, and a lot of times I'll tell you, you can't beat Dr. Jones or whatever because I never played golf or tennis that way. I went all out. I tried to beat him, and I tried to hurt him at the net if we were playing tennis and all that kind of shit. But those social amenities are important. But the club you can't afford isn't a sports club. It's a social club. You know, more deals, I don't know now, but 10, 20 years ago, got done at the Harvard Club, the Yale Club, you know, the Oxbridge Club, which is Oxford, Cambridge, down in London. I mean, Sally? She's not here? Okay. Yeah, I hear them puffing and puffing. And that's where we are. I mean, it's not dissimilar to smell the leather, you know, the Rolls Royces and that kind of shit. Yes, sir, in the back. Pardon? No, I'm not going to go.
That's my question.
I'm not going to the fucking 60-40. No. Yes.
What is your point of view in terms of personal development? What's missing? What should be, in your point of view, changed?
Well, nobody teaches tough love. The biggest downfall of the personal development industry, no matter who you listen to, is it's not considered appropriate to teach hard-ass tough love. No matter whose program you listen to. Now, I'm not talking, me calling you sweetie pie or blondie. That's not what I mean. That's probably insulting to a lot of people. I'm not going to stop doing it. But holding people strictly accountable. Firing people. Maybe not the first time they fuck up, but certainly the second time they fuck up is totally unacceptable now in corporate world. You can't do it. But I mean, they think you're like Attila Lan. And that's just validates or reinforces why, in my opinion, we're through. We're through. Fast forward 100, 200 years, we're going to have, no, this is a joke. We're going to have people dancing around like fairies, wanting to be loved by everybody. We will get nothing done. I can't tell you how anti-big corporate world that I'm in touch with, hates PC.
It seems like they love it on public.
Oh, of course they do, because, the iPhone. But all the big guys I know think it's a fucking joke, and they would have thought PC would have passed by now. But it's only getting stronger, which allows us more opportunity. Because the weaker the system gets, the more opportunity it is for us. I mean, guys, you have no idea how the big guys think. You have no idea how NATO thinks. You don't have any idea how the International Monetary Fund thinks. You have no idea how World Bank thinks. You only see what they want you to see in the public persona. And it's completely different, yeah.
Do you have a plan to change the education system to get QLA message in some
No. Two different messages. My political message is something different than my QLA message. But God forbid for the average elector, when I get in office, I mean, I'm either going to get shot, assassinated, or I'm going to take over Britain. There's going to be nothing in between. I've got all the money I need for the rest of my life, times 10. I own everything with no debt. I only have cash. I don't give a fuck about inflation. I'm a formidable opponent. And in the infamous words of Costa Gratsos, the CEO of Onassa Shipping the right-hand man of Aristotle and Onassis for 60 plus years. If you don't fear Mr. Peña, you're fucking stupid. I've been dealing with a lot of big hitters a long time, successfully. Politics will be no different. So far, and I know it's early days, our response to my political aspirations is 99% favorable. Early days, and I realize the people that are responding are my flock. But I don't think it's going to be much different when I go out and I'm fucking them for practice. Other than the couple, three of you that are still non-believers until you test the waters, you heard the people up there in the webinar. They worship me like motherfucking God because I made them rich. If I can get your family to have more jobs, and I know categorically I can create more business, because I know I can. I believe, I hope, I pray that my flock that's much, much bigger than you heard will come to the forefront and will march with fucking placards and say that I am the second coming, Jesus reborn, to bring the world back to sanity. And even if I'm only 10% effective, who else is trying? Nobody. They haven't had an orator in office for 70 years. See, but I know I can do this. If I can take you, oh God, if I can take you and create $1 trillion, I can do anything. I'm only going to get elected once. I understand that. I'm a one-term, whatever the fuck I get elected to. So I'm going to have to do it in one time. Not just because I'm only going to do it one time. At my age, a lot of people will factor in he's too old, blah, blah, blah. Now, you heard me this week. I'm far from too old. But I plan on doing this into my 80s. Sally and I have been to the North Pole and the South Pole. All these cocksuckers that talk about the poles, they never been there. What credibility do they have? Apparently a lot with the millennials. But God knows. Guys, the world is your oyster. I mean, ostensibly, there could be 1 or 2 billionaires in this room. Ostensibly, the short end of the stick, 50, 80, 100 million. If you really take it serious. And even though I make fun of the Romanian, he's trying his heart out. I know that. And I slap him around, and I'm kind of uncouth about it. But there is a spark there that hasn't been lit up yet. And hopefully this seminar will have done that. But he's doing most of the things right. Unfortunately, he's doing several things wrong. But that doesn't mean he can't hit it for 6.
Let's go through the list of the things he's doing wrong. One by one in painstaking order.
No, but we've gone over that. But
We've got all night, dude. Come on.
But he's not the first guy that has come in here that thinks he has followed the steps. And I've already pointed out that where he hasn't. But he's followed the steps more than most people in this room. So I don't shame him for that. And my experience is that if you keep swinging at the plate, eventually you hit it for 6, or you get on base, etc. To use baseball parlance. But once you get on base, kids, and you sense success, it's hard to turn your back. It is. Some people take a long time. Some people do it overnight. Thomas is not overnight. I did it quicker, although he likes to pretend he's done it quicker than me. He didn't, but yes, sir.
So how did the pickpocket incorporate a board meeting? You're supposed to get a 2-week notice, right? 14 days. How did he do that?
He didn't do 14 days. He did it 5 days.
So he gave 5 days notice?
Yeah. Okay. He did 5 days.
Just knock him out like right off the bat. Top man.
Well, he had the chairman in 2 days or 3 days, as you recall. He had the board in 4 or 5 days. He had the accountants and lawyers in, I think, 8 or 10 days. He would have more problems with the accountants and lawyers because they will not be as readily sold on the shit because they've heard the shit before. You may be able to sell Blondie, but you may not be able to sell Alexandra because the girls have heard the shit before, right? Okay. One or none may not be susceptible to the sales pitch. And by the time he got to the accountants and the lawyers, and he warmed up the banks, it was 26 days, and he went out the day he made our webinar. And I thought, should I show this fucking shit to the kids? Because if he falls on his shit, falls on his ass, no, I think, the kid might do it. I certainly didn't think he was positively going to do it, but then Olive was with us, and he did it.
He sent somebody else to his in-house lawyers and in-house accountants to the accountants firm and lawyer firm.
Yeah, he uses his accountant and his lawyer, and that's part of the shortcuts, if there are any. But I would say don't use the shortcut because most of you couldn't give a blowjob away to a teenager in the 12th grade. I mean, because your sales skills, your communication skills, just as mine are getting sloppier because I'm drinking more, but your communication, even though I'm buzzed, my communication skills are 20 times better than yours, sober. Okay, so but he did it, goddammit, and he wasn't afraid. Most of you, not just you, most that come through the program are afraid to embarrass yourselves. I understand that. I'm not approving it or condoning it, but you're afraid. All the bullshit aside, Blondie here, her husband, who was a year ago, more or less, sends her here because now it's going to be kind of a joint venture, I think, between the two of you guys. But he could have already started all this shit. I mean, you should have 4 or 5 acquisitions now. So instead, he throws you to the wolves, That's fine. I don't care how the fuck you decide to do it. The important thing is you pull the trigger. You pull the trigger. Everybody in this deal can still get a deal done before the year end. It may not be pretty, it may not be textbook, yada, yada, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can get the deal done. At the end of the day, as almost everybody you've heard says the same, the most important thing is to get a deal done. And God knows that's true. And you've heard it from guys that have already created several $100 million, and again, I'm not taking away, I'm thankful these guys will talk to you. But I got a whole level of other mentees that will knock your fucking tits off, your clitoris off, and your balls off. I mean, big fucking hit us. G5 planes running around, but don't want to have anything to do with you. And I can't really blame them. Time's money. But these guys are great examples that you saw and heard. And thank the Lord, they are still willing to talk. For me, they're doing it. I understand that. I'm still willing to talk to you. But now, 6 months, 12 months from now, I'll be asking you. You have time to this bullshit. It's not bullshit. I said bullshit and shit. I don't mean bullshit and shit. I mean, can you do this, next seminar? This time, the seminar, we had the privilege of having Roberto we had the Goomba Boys. Normally we only have one per seminar. But in this particular case, we've had two. Some of the kids are so excited because they, made a bunch of money that they're more than willing to share. Yes, sir.
I'm going to mention, like, contacting you when it's an emergency. What do you consider an emergency? When it's a gun to your head?
I don't believe me. Deals, none of those are emergencies. It's like Earl Warren, the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in America, when he stepped down the steps of the Supreme Court, and they were just ruled in the early 50s on pornography. And they said, Chief Justice Warren, what is the definition of pornography? And he says, well, boys, all I can say is, I knows it when I sees it. And all I can tell you is I know when an emergency is an emergency. Your chairman leaving, sealing a deal is not an emergency. The bank pulling the plug on you is not an emergency. Your board, one or two board members, because you fucked up, don't vote the right at the first board meeting. All the things that are normally what you consider emergency, I've taught you how to preclude if you follow the steps. See, you guys, when you're talking to your board members before the board meeting and you've got the envelopes, resignation envelopes in your pocket, you will not pull up the envelope when they tell you they're not going to vote for you. You won't do it. When I tell you how to hire people vis-a-vis contracts, you won't do it. And then you call me and you say, did you do this? No. Next. Have a good life, kid. Yes, sir.
So let's say the DOJ is investigating.
Well, you guys are a long way. I would like to get involved with the DOJ investigation because I like to piss on them. I happen to be 1-0 because I won. But you're a long way from the DOJ. But if the DOJ call me, I'm interested in that deal. Yeah, the DOJ is a long way from chasing you. I mean, unless you have not been 100% candid with me about what you're doing. I mean,
give us an example of an emergency, like a real emergency.
No. I'm not going to give you an example of a real emergency because the example I might give you is vis-a-vis the exact circumstances that exist around you at that time, and the milieu that surrounds you, kids, will change from month to month. But 99% of all your problems can be handled by your board. 99. The 1%. For example, I was going to wear a gun to the seminar tonight, a .45 automatic that I used to wear back in the good old days, holster. When the mafia was after me, and all my board members, as high profile as they were, said, Dan, this is your company. We give you the proxy for our vote. It's your battle. And I used to come with the dual .45 automatics and an M16 and bodyguards to the board meetings because, one, the mafia was after me, and two, we had bomb threats because we were 30% owned by the Kuwaitis, And so I did all the voting myself. That's an emergency.
That's quite a perception walking into the board meeting with an M16.
I have guys that are alive today. Yeah.
Vote for me or what?
Yeah. No. There were no board members. I had the proxies for everyone, so I voted. But that's an emergency. Yeah. And to date, nobody's had that.
You don't answer the call.
Pardon?
You don't answer the call.
No. Yeah, I mean, the you kids, mostly pussies and cunts still, you don't know what hard times are. A couple of you have been poor, but You don't. You have no conception of what hard times are.
When did you feel when you're not a cunt anymore? Is there?
I've never been a cunt. I mean, since the day I was born.
How about when you were younger, though?
No, I was never a cunt. You can't. Where I came from, you can. Cunts die at birth. I mean, I was never even remotely. And my dad, the first time he picked me up in his arms, and there's a couple pictures on YouTube, when his arms had shrunk down to maybe 17 inches, when he was kind of not middle-aged, and he's holding me. I mean, nobody ever perceived me. I mean, those were fighting words. I mean, they didn't say cunt in those days, they said pussy. And the first thing is you busted him in the mouth. In classroom. You didn't even wait to go outside class. Boom! I was in the principal's office. Oh, fuck. Hundreds of times. And I used to be in the principal's office 2 times a day. Boom! I never hit a teacher, though. I tried to kill a teacher once, but I never hit him. When I dropped the aquarium. Now, why would a kid, 10, 11 years old, drop an aquarium from the second floor? Well, no, I mean, I have no idea why I did it. I wasn't trying to kill the teacher, but I mean, you're put in a dunce cap in a closet and you shit your pants. Animosity builds up. And that, I'm not bragging about anything, but I am a rough motherfucker.
Do you have any conspiracy theories that you can talk about from what you've learned from the government?
No, I know John Kennedy. My opinion, John Kennedy, President of the United States, did not die the way everybody thinks. Robert Kennedy, who ran for president, John's brother, did not die, even though my father was in charge of the investigation for the government, didn't die the way depicted or memorialized. The 30-some people that disappeared vis-a-vis the Hillary Clinton server deal, that's a joke, that investigation. And there's all kinds of investigations that are jokes. Now, I won't call them cover-ups, but they're jokes. And anybody that's in the know knows it's a joke. I mean, anybody in the know knows it's a joke. And if you want to go to Russia and all these other countries, they're bigger jokes. I mean, in my opinion, Putin knows every motherfucker that gets whacked every year by name and serial number. Anybody that thinks any different is sick. And and just as the big governments, the rich governments know why they didn't pay the poor countries from 2015 is because they know 99% of all the money would be stolen. But you will never hear that on the news. It's a joke, which makes it better for us. Because with that level of naivete, we can do whatever the fuck we want. And that's why the QLA model, I'm not recommending this at all, is one step above or below, depending on how you look at it, the mafia model. Okay, kids, I'm going to bed. Who leaves first tomorrow? Okay. Who leaves last? Who am I seeing tomorrow? Jesus Christ. Okay, kids, I'd like to say it was fun. I say just sober enough to talk, although I will probably go have more drinks when I go to bed. Kat, you've done a great job as usual. Yes, sir. Who else am I talking about? I only have one cat in my life. And you will get your pictures if you want them.
7,000. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, 10,000. 10,000 now.
Do you charge for the bottle of whiskey?
No. You get that for free. You also get the pictures for free. and Kat will have them out to you, what, in a week, 5 days? By Friday. We want to under promise and over deliver. And and kids, travel safely. I mean, notwithstanding, I berated you about your testing, which is true. You can do it. If you want to do it bad enough, you can do it. So, good night. Be good fortune. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.